Welcome back to Long Way Home, everyone. Today we are going to talk about keeping yourself cool during summer. What? What do you mean it's the wrong script? Welcome back to Long Way Home, everyone. It seems like today we're going to go through a couple of easy steps to actually put this beast to sleep for the winter. Now, since I've been lucky enough to keep it in a heated garage over the past couple of winters, I never really paid much attention to these videos before. But that seemed to be the wrong thing, because when spring came around this year, I had to replace the battery and I had to replace my front shock. So I did my due research, and these are a few of the things that you need to do in winter so that when summer comes, you can just get on it and enjoy your warm weather. Alright, the first one is the fuel tank. Here there are two things that we need to keep in mind. One, do we fill it up or do we keep it empty during the winter? Never keep it empty, always fill it up. The reason for this is that air contains water, and water doesn't go very well with metal, even if the fuel tank is sealed up. Step number two, when it comes to the fuel tank, is to actually treat the fuel. The reason we do this is because the newer fuels contain ethanol, and ethanol, if left alone to its own devices, over time will break down into harmful molecules which will start eating away at all of the rubbers and the gaskets in our fuel system. So we have to stabilize it, and the way we do that is by adding a bit of fuel stabilizer. Now, this is one of the products that I bought. I like it because it's got these little gradings, so you know exactly how much of the product to put in your fuel. The idea is very simple. Just fill up your tank at the required amount with these helpful guides over here. And since you're doing that, you might as well prepare a separate jerry can, treat it as well, keep it in your garage. And the reason I would do this is because maybe, who knows, the gods might help us and we might get 1 day or 2 days during the winter where we can actually ride our bike. So when we come back home, we can just fill it up with the fuel we've already prepared in the jerry can. So that's it for our fuel, but very, very important, don't skip this step. Don't leave your fuel tank half full or 3/4 or empty. I used to do that for a while. All right, the next step, as important, you need to treat the rest of your fluids. This means oil, gearbox oil if you're running an airhead, oil in your final drive if you've got a final drive, and if you're running an air-cooled bike, obviously the coolant. Now, engine oil is easy. If you haven't changed it in a while or you're very close to your service interval, go ahead and change it now. If you've just changed it, leave it in there, it's clean. The idea is that you don't want to leave your bike over the winter with dirty oil inside. Dirty oil accumulates gunk, carbon deposits, all sorts of nasty stuff that you don't want sitting in your bike for the whole winter. Coolant, the only thing you don't want to happen there is for it to freeze over winter. And to make sure that's not going to happen, you have to test it. If it tests out fine, if it's still within the parameters, then leave it in there. You don't have to worry to change it. Brake fluid, you don't have to worry about it during the winter. If you've got nothing to do, it never hurts to put in a fresh batch in there, but it's got nothing to do with actually winterizing your bike. All right, so we've done the fuel, we've done all of the fluids. The next very important component of your bike to take care of during winter is definitely going to be your battery. Now, there are a couple of things to consider here. If you are leaving your bike outside during winter, below freezing temperatures, you need to take your battery out and keep it in the house. Preferably not in the house, but in the garage or maybe in an outhouse somewhere where it doesn't go below zero, because if something happens to the battery, like the acid starts to leak or it might explode, who knows, you really don't want that in your house. If you are keeping your bike in the garage during the winter and it's a climate controlled-ish garage, let's call it that, you can leave it in your bike. There's no need to take it out, but even if it's outside or if it's in the garage, you still need to put a battery tender on it. Now, a tender is not a charger. They are very different. A charger you will use to charge up your battery if it's dead, and then you take it off and then you can go riding. A tender is one that will maintain your battery life during winter or during months that you're not going to use it prolonged. And it's got all sorts of management systems built in where it might discharge the battery and then charge it back up to a certain point so that come spring, it's in the best condition that it can be in. The one that I decided to go for was this one from Oxford. This is not a sponsored video. I have no feelings toward Oxford. I don't like or dislike them. What I do like is that it comes with this harness. Most of them actually come with this harness. You hook it up to your battery. It's got an inline fuse. You route this somewhere under your seat, and then it's got a special plug where you can plug in the tender without actually needing to uncover your battery. So it makes everything a lot easier. All right, the next step, which probably most of us do, is to actually deep clean the bike, clean it properly. If I was to leave this here during winter, this little bug splatter, this would actually start etching into the plastic over here, and then it would be ruined forever. Just take a look at the way this rim is damaged over here. This was done by a piece of mud that was actually stuck in here, in between here and the rim, and I left it the whole winter. I didn't go clean my bike. And then in summer, when I went to wash it, just that 1 kilometer drive, that piece of mud got so hard that it polished the whole rim surface over here. Nothing you can do but paint it, I guess. But I'm too lazy to do that, so we're just gonna leave it like this. All right, so make sure all of the surfaces of the bike are thoroughly cleaned. Don't leave any dirt, any bugs, any sort of debris anywhere on it. Some people go as far as to wax their bike. I've never done that. I'm not gonna do that, but it's not gonna hurt. So if you've got another hour available, then go ahead and wax it as well. And that's it for cleaning. All right, so until now, we've done the battery, we've done the fluids, we've done the fuel, we've thoroughly cleaned it. If you're gonna leave it in a closed space in a garage over winter, there's only one more step to do, and that is to cover your exhaust holes and your intake holes. Reason for that is because you don't want any critters making little nests in there because it's a little bit warmer. So take a plastic bag, some rubber bands, and put it over the exhaust hole, the intake holes, or any other little nooks where you think critters might get in. Because come spring, the last thing you want to do is start fixing up your bike because your cables got chewed or you've got some sort of rat nests or mice nests. Ugh. If you're gonna leave your bike outside though, you still need to do that, but you need to go one step further and buy a good quality cover for your bike. If you're gonna buy a cheap cover, that cover is not gonna be breathable, which means all that moisture is gonna get trapped in between the cover and your bike, and you're gonna have some really bad results there. So splurge out for a cover, a proper, nice, good, expensive cover that is breathable, so that when spring comes, you're not gonna have any surprises. You can just take it off and go ride. Now, there are two more things that I want to discuss before we wrap this video up. One of them is the age-old question, should you lift the tires off the ground? The short answer to that is no. There's absolutely no reason in 2020 to do that. Yes, 20 years ago, the old tires, if you left them the whole winter on the floor, they would get flat spots. However, because of the way new tires are made, flat spots are one of those things that you don't have to worry about anymore. And the second thing is, do I leave my bike on the side stand or do I leave it on the center stand? Now, there's no consensus online about this, or none that I was able to find, but personally, I will never leave it on the center stand during winter again. I did that last winter, and this summer I had to change the front shock because it started leaking. And apparently on some bikes, if the shocks sit for a very long period of time uncompressed, they will get damaged and they'll start leaking. And that is one part of the bike that I really don't want to spend the money to replace again. So it's gonna sit on the side stand for the whole winter. There's no problem with that. Even if it's a boxer, the oil will go into one of the cylinders. That's not a problem. In spring, I can just keep it upright or on the center stand for like 5 minutes and then it'll be fine. Well, that's it everybody for this show of how to keep your bike stored in winter properly. If you've just joined us, we are a long way home. We do all sorts of motorbike content. We try to upload about 3 times per week. We're not a very serious bunch. We joke around a lot on the channel here. So if you don't like humor, then maybe you need to speak to someone about that, because it's not normal. Anyway, thanks for coming with us on this journey. If you've enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you think you've learned something new, consider subscribing or maybe becoming a patron to help us make more of these shows. Cheers, and I'll see you on the next one.